Welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue talking about the time value of money, which is found in Chapter 5 in Intermediate Accounting. This is going to be a short video that we talk a little bit about how to find the missing pieces when it comes to using the future value or present value charts. Because we talked about how to find the present value. If you already have the future value, you also have the interest rate and the number of periods that it will be compounding. But we didn't talk about what if something else is missing? So that's what we're going to look at first of all here. So Randy asks Alexandra from our last video if he can borrow $600 today. He promises to repay her a total of $735 in 3 years. What is the interest rate? Okay, so we know the present value, that's 600 bucks. We know the future value, it's $735. And we know that it's going to be 3 years that he's going to have before he pays Alexandra back. So the thing that's missing is how much is the interest rate that he's going to be paying her essentially. So we're going to take all the information we have and we are going to utilize that to find the interest rate using one of our handy dandy charts. So the unknown interest rate, we've got the present value, we know the future value, we're looking for that interest rate. We know the number of years. So what we want to do is take the present value divided by the future value, and that gives us a factor. So that factor is then going to be plugged into our present value chart. Now we already know this is 3 years, so we go to our period number 3 and we go over and look for the number, and there it is, 0.8163. So now that we see that, we know that our interest rate is 7%. So that's how we find an unknown interest rate. So it's like a little puzzle that you get to work, and hopefully you enjoy puzzles since you are an accounting major, because there are lots of things like this that are basically puzzle solving. So if nothing else, you can think of it as kind of a game. All right, so our interest rate is 7%. We found that by looking for the factor on the present value chart after dividing the present value by the future value. Now let's look at another example. Alexandra wants to invest $5,000 today. She wants it to accumulate to $8,000 to use for a car down payment. She can earn 10% interest on this investment. How many years will it take for this goal to be met? So we know her present value is 5,000. We know the future value is 8,000. We know she's going to earn 10% interest. The question is, how many years is it going to take to earn that? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the present value, we're going to divide it by the future value, and that gives us a factor. We go to the present value table. We know that the interest rate is 10%, so we can go straight to the 10% here and start looking down, 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 and we're going to look for whatever's the closest number there, and it is 0.62092, very close. We're going to use that number, and that tells us it would take 5 years for her $5,000 to grow to $8,000 if she's earning 10% interest, which is something for you to remember too. I remember I saved $5,000 when I was like 15 or 16 working at a restaurant, and I just put it in a regular savings account, not really earning any interest. But now I know 20 years later, I could have put that into something earning 10%, and it could have been a huge amount of money. Just after 3 years, it would have grown to 8,000, or after 5 years, it would have grown to $8,000. So compound interest is super helpful, and the more time you have to invest it, the more helpful it is. Pretty passionate about that, so I keep getting off topic there. But we know that it takes 5 years in order to get to that point. So let's discuss a little bit about what we've learned, and then you're going to get into annuities in the next video, which gets trickier. So make sure you watch each of these videos so that you have the foundation to lead you to that. So this little girl is very excited about talking about what we just learned. Brew Buzz Coffee Company, this is the company we're going to be using through the rest of the chapter, just signed a deal to supply a chain of hotels with their premium beans. As part of the contract, Brew Buzz will receive a lump sum payment of $50,000 in 5 years. the company's CFO, Chief Financial Officer, wants to know what that payment is worth today to evaluate whether or not the deal makes financial sense. He's trusting you, the accountant, to determine the present value, assume of a discount rate of 6%. So that means we're going to use the rate of 6% interest. So what do we know here? We know that the future value is $50,000. We know that we have 5 years that we're going until we get that money. We also know there's a 6% interest rate. So the big question is, how much is this actually worth today? Because sure, 50,000 sounds great, but if you're not going to get it for 5 years, then it's not worth as much today, because I can't take that 50,000 today and go invest it or go, purchase a piece of equipment or something with it. Instead, I have to wait for it. So we want to consider, how much is it actually worth today, knowing that I could have invested it and earned 6% in the meantime. So let's work our way into that. So we take our $50,000 and we find that the factor, when we go to 6% and 5 years, is 0.7473. So we were told that we had 5 years till we get it. We were told that it was going to earn 6%. So when we take our 50,000 we get in 5 years, multiply it times that factor that we get from the present value table, we get 37,365. So BrewBuzz knows that future $50,000 is only worth 37,365 today. That is a helpful insight when comparing investment opportunities or assessing risk. So now you're going to present that to the CFO, and the CFO is going to say, "Oh yeah, 37,365. That's a great purchase price. So yeah, let's make this deal." Or wait, that's only worth 37,000 in today's dollars because we could take that money and invest it otherwise. No, 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 no. That's not worth it to me. I thought it was going to be, 45,000. So now that I see that, he's going to be able to make a decision based on that information. And that's what we know accounting is all about. It is giving accurate information to help decision makers make good, solid decisions. So he appreciates that right there. All right, so we are going to start looking at annuities in the next video. Make sure you're really understanding how to use these charts and the concepts before you jump into those videos, because it is going to get much trickier as things go along. And then that's going to move into pensions, and that will be covered a little bit in this chapter, and then in great detail in Intermediate 2 when it comes to pension obligation, which is one of the most challenging chapters for the majority of students. So really good to get this foundation first.